Alright guys, welcome to RC Mojo. This week we're going to work on the Scania, making a bit more progress with the lights. Last time we got the lights in the right hand side skirt fully installed. Off camera I installed the LEDs on the other side and ran the wires to the control box. If we look under the chassis, there's really not much evidence anything's changed, except you can just about see the PCBs installed behind the light bars, all nice and tidy. Putting it back up the right way, we can open up the door and see the inside of the control box. For now, the LED driver PCB is just floating around in there. We'll make a proper mount when we add the rest of the gubbins in the box. This week, the project is going to be the light bar under the bumper. It's aftermarket and it's metal rather than a stock plastic one, and it has several slots for LEDs. Step 1 is to remove the bumper and the cab so we can fit the LEDs and later plug them into the system. Right, while I get on with that, I'll just mention a couple of channel related things. First up, I am ridiculously behind with the comments. I tend to want to write a reasonable reply, but I wait until I've got a few minutes, or at least that was the idea. In reality, a few comments build up and then it starts to seem like a huge task. Daft, I know, but that's what happens. I really need to set aside an hour a week to go through all the comments before they actually build up. Anyway, apologies for those still waiting for replies. The comments and questions are greatly appreciated, and I must admit I do feel a bit proud when you guys come to the channel and ask questions. Right, back to the LEDs. Just like the rear LEDs, we've got another LED driver board, which is attached to the breakout board to make connections a little bit easier to manage. The small connectors on the edge go to the LEDs just in front of the wheels. Then we have the 3 connectors that carry data for the LED driver, power, and run a couple of the LED channels up on the roof. Then the small connectors on the right hand side carry all the connections to the bumper. The one we're going to use today is the 8-pin that's out on its own. It has power that will connect to all the LED anodes, and there's 7 channels from the driver that will connect to each of the cathodes on the bumper bar. Also, you can see just behind the seats the chassis cab interface board, but we'll have a look at that in another video when we install the final RC receiver. Right now, it's all a bit of a hodgepodge. Now the bar did come with a set of LEDs pre-wired to a plug to plug straight into a power source, but that's not how we need them wired. We need a common anode array, plus they were white and I want yellow. So here we have a little packet of LEDs. If you search for 2x3x4mm LED on eBay or somewhere similar, there's quite a few to choose from in various colours. If you like fiddling around with RC lighting, it's a good handy size to have. Quite a few of the Chinese parts use the same size. Now all the other yellow LEDs we've installed so far shine through an orange lens, which will change the colour a little. So to get them somewhere near a match, I've painted these with some Tamiya orange transparent paint. The difference is going to be fairly subtle, but enough to make it worthwhile. For the wiring, we need all the anodes to go to pin 1 of the connector, then each of the cathodes to the remaining pins. Right, here we are then, sometime later. The LEDs are installed and connected up to the connector. Now it's not the tidiest install on the inside, but it'll do. It's not too easy to work out a nice way to route those wires. Still, once a bumper's on the chassis, no one's going to be any the wiser. Okay, before we do anything else, we need to give it a quick test. I've got the transmitter powered up, we just need a battery to power the truck. Then with the cab out of the way, we can hit the power button to power up the system. The test animations are all running, and if we open the door, we can see last week's install doing its thing. When there's a bit more software written for the LEDs, they will do something a bit more sensible. For now, it's just showing everything's working. To test the bar, all we need to do is plug it in. And well, it nearly all works. One of the LEDs isn't lighting up, but the rest seem okay. It's most likely just a cold joint on one of the LED legs, so I'll reflow the joint off camera, but otherwise I'm quite happy. The backs of the LEDs are open, so I'll paint them with some black paint to reduce the light coming out of the back. When that's dry, I'll add a bit of hot glue to protect the legs. They're going to be fairly close to the ground, so we need something so the legs don't get hung up in the carpet. Plus it'll cover up the sharp bits, so if anyone tries to pick up the truck by the bumper, they're not going to bleed. A little bit later, and it looks like this. Still a bit untidy, but functionally it'll be just fine. To fit, we feed the connector up through the hole in the electronics deck and plug it into the driver board. We've got enough excess wire that we can have the bumper off to the side while we refit the cab. It's just the 2 screws for the cab, then the bumper offers up, being careful not to trap any wires, and then we reinstall the 2 bumper screws. Now we can power the truck back up and see what it looks like. Well, pretty good I think, except they're sweeping in the wrong direction. But it's just a case of remapping the channels to sort that out, so here we are with it corrected. For the full effect, we're going to dim the lights. Now, I think having those LEDs dimly lit for running lights, then maybe sync up some animations to the indicators would look quite good. So many possibilities. Also, while I'm thinking about it, the rear lights are of course working too. I've only got the software fading the indicators, but you get the idea. Annoyingly, because the lenses are all red, the yellow LEDs aren't quite as bright as I'd like, but I suppose they'll do. And another thing, you saw the LCD up in the roof last week, but I didn't power it up. So here it is running. Right now it doesn't do anything too exciting, just the RC Mojo logo and a bit of a slideshow. But the controller for the LCD can access the battery voltage and other information, so we can have a low power warning and all sorts of other things displayed on there too. With the sunroof window fitted, it's going to look even better as that will cover up the edges. And well, that's about it for this week. Another quick video, but it's still progress. I'm really hoping to put together a longer video that's a bit more involved before too long, but for now it's going to be short videos for a few more weeks. Next week I think we're going to tackle the roof spotlights, as they're not going to be using the traditional LEDs, so that might be interesting. In the meantime, as always, thanks for watching. Like if you like, subscribe if you haven't, and leave a comment if there's something on your mind. Bye guys!